Good evening, race fans. This is Diesel Pilot here with Growl Wolf for a first match of a best of three of the Super Mario Brothers Randomizer Challenge Cup. Good evening and hello, Growl Wolf. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Diesel Pilot. I am looking forward to an outstanding race tonight. We've got RaikouRider taking on Baszle in a best of three. This is going to be good.
Indeed, and getting right off the start, we have double pipes in World 3. Let's see if the first one just leads to the second one.
I don't know what it is about those pipes at the start of a world, but as soon as it shows up, where two pipes are very easily accessible in some of our multi-pipe worlds, almost every time it feels like those pipes are going to be connected.
And right out the gate, we get 7-7, so nice racy level where our runners can use those stars to just race right across the top of that sea of munchers, and maybe, nope, we're not going to get any two cycles, but they're both going to clear it out just fine.
Yeah, this is definitely a case of play smart, don't play the level again, and both of our runners exercised a little bit of caution there just to make sure that they didn't have to play this level again, so I definitely applaud the efforts there.
Indeed, playing smart, avoiding any unnecessary risk. They both finished out with the 176 on the timer, so not bad at all.
No, these guys are neck and neck. They both played very well in the group stages part of this tournament. They both had I'd have to go back and check some of the times. Obviously, some of them were a little slow. But both of these runners came from very powerful groups. You know, we had a couple of those in the group stages where all four runners were just extremely solid. And sometimes the randomizer will be a bit of a factor in that regard. Because if it's just not playing fair, if you're just not able to make the right calls, you know, sometimes there's 50-50 questions, you're just not going to win because the randomizer doesn't work in your favor. And both of these runners are just exceptional racers, both in the group stages. I can't wait to see what they do here in the tournament. Both runners pretty much agreed in the race time chat right before this that it likely will go to 3.
And I would say you're pretty much, it's a really good prediction of any prediction you can make out of this. And both of them are finishing up strong out of 5-3. Of course, a very long overworld stage and something that can give you grief if you have some bad luck in the bottom area, especially seems to give people trouble.
Absolutely, and as soon as you add a static creature of some kind, like Angry Sun, cheap, you know, one of those that will stay on the screen, it just gets exponentially harder.
Of course, 4-1, not a long one at all. Both of them are finishing up pretty quickly. Just one little hiccup on Raikou's side, but nothing to worry about. He gets out there strong with a quick time.
Baszle will take a 5-1-up fanfare, as he did match 3 stars. Not a terrible thing this early on. Kind of helps if you get a level like 7-6, 6-6, you know, some of those really terrifying level 7-5 that just don't play nicely for you. So, you know, getting the 5 bucks, not a bad choice.
Not at all. We've seen lots of frustrating setups with level 7-5 with Angry Sun or Cheap Cheeps that have been difficult for our players to run through, but now this one is not difficult at all. We have one of our beta stages. When you tell us about it?
Absolutely. This is one of my personal favorites. There's no enemies on the screen. It's literally just a Mash Fest. There's one power-up in the middle of the item boxes in the bottom left corner of the map. But it's one of the lost levels. It's one that was never actually put into the game, but it was left in memory. And it's kind of based off of 7-1, 7-6, where you kind of have that whole World 7 vibe to it, as well as you've got the vertical column with the level itself. So very interesting to see it in this. One of my personal favorites, like I said, and you know, it's always fun to see.
And RaikouRider's screen, we've already had the 5-3 standard level. Now we have the 5-3, what's often considered to be the 5-3 beta. And we also had Baszle just finished up one of the fort stages, and it was the tanks, or the Navy, and now he's in the super tanks. So, even though these are fortresses, these are the level 8 military stages for the Koopas. The way it works is any stage that finishes with a boom boom fight is considered sort of like a tank or a fort stage for the randomizer. Has the same mechanics at the end. for what you can do to the map. And so they are all lifting together. And now RaikouRider is fighting his way through the first of the airships.
All right, I was told in the chat I was a little bit too quiet. I've raised the volume just a little bit. Let me know if that helps. RaikouRider making a pretty gutsy call there. He went ahead and played a couple of extra levels, including Waterfall, like we just saw. And he's already at the airship now, through an easy windy fight, and now on to World 2.
Nicely done. Less than 5 minutes to get through the first world. Especially not bad, especially with that being World 3. That can be a bear and a challenge with all the different pathing that can happen with it.
Absolutely. A lot of things can possibly go wrong. We'll see that again, really in World 7, definitely in World 8. The only other thing I could probably think of is 6 just doesn't really have a whole lot of confusion as part of it. There's only 4 pipes in that huge world, and if you see a couple pipes, maybe try them, but other than that, you're really not going to have a whole lot of problem with the routing, and hopefully we don't see any more of that for Baszle. Just a little bit of a hiccup there on World 3, and it just came down to routing.
RaikouRider triggering the P-switch, almost got himself trapped down there in the bottom level with Boss Bass. And yeah, chat, that is a vanilla Boss Bass. So we've got a Fred Bass, and RaikouRider gets himself out of the stage without any more trouble. Baszle gets his wand, and he's out about a minute behind RaikouRider at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit of a terrifying, not so much place for Baszle to be. Sometimes we look at these runners and we know how good these guys are. So, we can kind of look at it and be like, oh, it's so far behind, it's so far behind. Honestly, though, there is so many possibilities for these runners to come back, and I think probably a good time for us to talk about the flag set. So in groups, we allowed the runners to pick whichever one they wanted from a set. This time we've changed it just a little bit.
So as I recall, we do have the opportunity for runners to have the all question marks on the stage or the number panels, or all whether or not the hammers break the locks.
Kind of. So the two things that the runners can choose are if the in card is enabled or disabled, and if the question mark levels are enabled or disabled. Both runners will pick the same one, no in cards, no question marks. They're going to play the hand levels. But the thing that is randomized, and there's a 50-50 chance, we haven't even seen it yet, is whether or not hammers break locks. So until the runners, for the very first time, and we don't even know, Diesel Pilot and I have no idea whether or not the hammers break locks. We have zero idea. We can't look at the seat. We can't look at the flag set. We have no idea until these runners actually go in and try to break a hammer or use a hammer to break a lock.
Now, what we can tell pretty quickly is maybe take some guesses as to what might the opportunities would be if the hammers could break the locks. But even on the map like this, especially with World 5 being a split map, there's not really much to see. We know that we've got a fortress that was going to have to build that bridge anyways, so the other fortress is going to have to be the one that unlocks that door. Oh no, there is another fortress in the upper part of the map. So I was wrong on that.
Interesting indeed, but what is also even more interesting with that is that even though those fortresses are not necessarily required, there is only one that is required, and that's in the bottom left-hand corner where 5-9 usually would be. So easy for these guys to get through.
Easy, yeah, maybe, depending on, of course, what that fortress happens to be. Looks like, RaikouRider spent a P-Wing to get up top on the upper stage of the Airborne Oasis. World 2-4.
I kind of like this call from RaikouRider. He did just take an unfortunate death there from a hammer brother that kind of went rogue on him. So, reconvene, take the P-Wing. You don't want to have to play a level again. So don't, just go ahead and get an item. You know that 2-4 has that flight path up. It's quick, it's easy, it's fun, and now you're moving on.
And of course, both of our runners were able to tell, looking at the map, that the one pipe that was on the lower section was going to have to be a pipe that went to the upper section, because the other pipe transition, so to speak, was the tower. And even though the tower does work as a pipe transition, there has to be one that takes you down to, or takes you to the upper stage. So since there were no other pipes on the lower part of the map, the other one had to be on the upper part.
Yes, a very good call. And with the level and tower being like the level in front of the tower, that means two more levels you'd have to play. And we're looking at the sky map, and there's no place for those pipes to be where you get any other advantage. I mean, it's going to be 3 levels to get to the castle, and that's it, no matter what you do.
RaikouRider making his way through 4F2. Does some good dodging work on around some hotfoots, but does stomp on a boo. Not a friendly boo. Not got Casper here, no friendly ghost, so he's going to have to lose his tail, but he does take Boom Boom out in 3 hits. And yes, chat, good observation there, that both of the World 4 forts were together on the same map, once again.
So I found out just this week, actually, from Fred, that the way the World 7 forts and the World 4 forts are encoded in the memory, it's actually more common than not for those to be linked up. So kind of an interesting fact. I never knew that before, but we'll check and see if World 7 has that as well.
You know, in a way, I kind of like that is sort of a high probability item, and especially now that it's sort of known in the community for sure that it is genuinely a high probability event, because that actually kind of throws some metagame shenanigans into the mix. If you've already seen 7F2, for example, and then you also have a mandatory fort, there's a really good chance that could be Fort Knox. And you may want to go ahead and use a preemptive Leaf or P-Wing just to get out of that stage early.
Absolutely, or at the very least, if you have a sneaking suspicion it's coming up, you know, go ahead and use a mushroom or something. It'll still be faster than going in with a small Mario and having to go all the way around.
Indeed. Now, it looks like Baszle may be closing the gap here on RaikouRider. With that fortress defeating Boom Boom, he's just Hammer Bro and the castle away.
Kind of an interesting call for him to not use an item here. It looks like that will be a problem, because if he had survived, you know, you're going straight into the castle, you're ready to go. Okay, well, it looks like he doesn't really have an item for that, so I guess that answers that.
That would be a good reason. The P-Wing is not something you want to have to use, and the hammer is useless.
Yeah, and I'm a little curious with this. You have 2 hammers. You've already played through World 3. Is it worth using a hammer on a lockdown below? I don't think it really is, because you don't get a whole lot of information out of that. Sure, you've got 2, but you've still got 6 worlds to play here.
Does use the tail, does get out of that fight with the Hammer Brothers, gets a star for the trouble. Could come in handy in a pinch later on. It would have been handy to have coming into this match for sure.
Definitely, especially with this airship. World 4's airship, just not terrible at all. Especially if you have a tail, you can kind of glide over a couple of these sections, and then he's going to finish up right next to the pipe. So just a good call for him, and I think the idea of going after that mushroom house to get that was a right call.
And we see in World 4 with RaikouRider, he does have 2 forts before him. He's got the airship, the coin ship, with Boomerang Brothers to defeat. He's going to have that no problem. Now, one of those 2 fortresses will build the bridge. We don't know which one until they actually play it and clear it.
Jugum Cloud does come out on the side of RaikouRiders, so definitely a valuable item. Going to come out again here soon, I'm sure.
I've got no doubt that Baszle would be looking for that if he ends up in an unfortunate or in a forced Hammer Brother fight. That could be a good one for him to have once more. Those Jugum Clouds can make or break a seed for a runner.
Absolutely. A lot of things can really be a great equalizer within the 2. And with how close these runners still actually are, it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen. You know, it could come down to a hammer break and a lock, or somebody even finding that. And now we've got Baszle on 6F3, which we just saw from RaikouRider. So, you know, Raikou had to take a chance. He picked the left fort. I'm curious if Baszle will pick the right.
Well, RaikouRider was the fort, so it is 6F2 that's going to be the one that will build that bridge.
Hopefully, if Baszle kind of thinks about it, there's so many decisions that go on in a runner's mind as they're playing, even just each level, like how to get through it, what strat to use, and so on and so forth. But one of those decisions that he's going to have to make is, wait, do I play the one that's required in the route, or the other one that could possibly be the one that's required? And really the answer to that is a very simple, the one on the left, obviously. You have to play it anyway. But as you're running through these things, sometimes those decisions don't always make sense. And he sees the fortress there, and he's already decided to bypass it.
Now, having bypassed it and having the one in front of him, now he's looking, he sees the Hammer Brothers. He's going to go ahead and just run through the coin ship again, and he will get the cloud as well, and then he will have the fortress as well. So he'll have basically the same path that RaikouRider just completed.
A very good call for sure, and especially getting that June cloud. You love the fact that it was in the way. You know, you want the runners to be on as equal footing as possible. You know, this is a randomizer. It's going to change even from race to race, where how the Hammer Brothers actually react with a whole bunch of things. So, you know, it's even though it's a randomizer and they're playing the same seed, it's still a different game.
And did you see what RaikouRider just learned? Hammers break locks.
Okay, very interesting. Both of our runners did have 2, which means that this is anybody's game. It's going to really come down to who breaks the right locks, I think.
Now, this lock in World 1 was probably a very good call. It was in the same position that the lock in Vanilla is, where it essentially blocks off or allows access to 3 or 4 levels. Or past 3 or 4 levels, excuse me. So that could, you know, you can see the map there. It 3 levels plus the fort are bypassed by breaking that lock.
Yeah, it looked like 3 levels either way, and what a great call there. You're not going to get a whole lot of chances. You know, we've got World 6 coming up, we've got World 7 coming up. You know, I think definitely hold on to a hammer for one of those, but you know, maybe if you get a little bit of a jump with a 3-level head start, that's not a bad idea either.
Of course, World 8 being World 8 could have anything in it. You never know when just a finicky lock in a dark room could end up being what it is.
Okay, I am actually being corrected in the chat. Which is perfectly fine. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on for commentary. We love having the chat around that helps with that. You guys are awesome. But Raikou did not get the hammer from the World 4 brother that Baszle got. So I stand corrected. The hammer is in a huge advantage for Baszle at this point. And if World 6, World 7, you know, some of those come out, even a World 2, where the hammer is going to be a huge factor, we're going to see that come out, I think, again for Baszle. That could be a leadership change.
And our first Earthquakey Koopa is Larry Koopa at the end of World 1. Looks like he's taken 4 hits, and 4 hits will be what he needs to go down.
Bit of a beefier Koopa. We've seen a couple of real lightweights today, including Windy, who I believe was just a one-shot. So, you know, maybe you love to see it, maybe you hate to see it. I think it kind of depends on what your flavor is with the Koopalines, but you know, either way, RaikouRider will be going into our next world. And like I said, we've got 2, 6, and 7 left. Still a lot of real estate, but I think Baszle needs to start putting on the pressure, which hopefully he's starting to do here.
Well, he's still not far behind. It's definitely still anybody's race at this point. Even though going into World 5 at about the 18-minute, RaikouRider does probably feel pretty good about where he is, but he's got no reason to ever look back or let up. He's got a lot of game yet in front of him. And he does take a hammer to one of the blocks in World 2 and pretty much skips most of World 2. But even though, no doubt, he'll be feeling pretty good about the time that he has, he knows that Baszle is right there on his tail and possibly ahead of him. And any slight mistake, the runners always know that could be the one that would put them at a disadvantage. So they're going to always try to be on top of their game all the way through.
Absolutely. You know, there's so many races out there, and I think for a lot of them, you could kind of feel like, yeah, I'm playing really, really well. You know, the PBs, you know, things like that. You think, oh yeah, you know, I've got a real shot at this, but not in Randomizer. Randomizer, you hiccup wrong, or Boomerang Brother goes the wrong way, or an item ends up going one person's advantage and ends up being a half a world. You know, there's just so many things that are possibilities that could happen. And with a randomizer, I don't know anybody who feels like they're in the lead at any point in time.
And I stand corrected. That Larry was actually a 5-hit Larry. I just counted the hits on Baszle's side. It looks like Morton is also a little bit salty today.
Indeed, but we are definitely not salty about the Speed Gaming 2 rating with a party of 114. You join us in the middle of a randomizer where these two runners, RaikouRider and Baszle, are taking on the Challenge Cup seed. It's going to be a best of 3, and these runners are just duking it out hand and foot right now. You know, it was a very quick World 5, which was actually the Vanilla World 2. So hopefully that's going to play in Baszle's advantage as well. But I did notice that RaikouRider did use a hammer there. So Raikou did actually have 2. I don't know where the second one came from, but he did have 2 because he used one in World 1 and 2. And, oh, okay, I stand corrected yet again because Baszle has 1 more still.
Right, so that could come into play. I haven't seen RaikouRider have another hammer in his inventory. I think it was just 1 screen's worth of inventory. So Baszle has that item advantage as long as he gets back where he needs to be in Fort Knox.
Yeah, that is something you hate to see, but it is not awfully uncommon for the runner to kind of miss a step there. You've kind of got that 1 block to jump off of, and it does get a little screwy at times. So Baszle having to reset the P-switch, he will go after the Tanuki suit, and then boom boom.
And once he does that, he's got a very quick roll too as well. RaikouRider making it go down with the Hammer Brothers and picks up a Cloud. Nicely done.
Very interesting. I don't believe we've seen the Jugum Cloud come out on either side of these runners yet. Really not a place to. Hammers have been the primary ticket item tonight as they do break locks in this set. And going to be interesting to see if the Clouds, when they come out, if they will. I know some runners will hold those to the very last moment in case of a 7-5 or something going a bit askew for them. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that.
I think RaikouRider does have 2 now because I think both of them picked up in the Cloud in World 4 with the coin ship.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the last thing that you want to do is have a Cloud in your inventory at the end. That's just, you know, but you have to also learn to when to use it.
And I think RaikouRider's making a good decision to hold on to it at this moment with going into World 6. He's got just the fortress that he was looking at, but there's a lock on the other side. He doesn't know if he needs that fortress, and you really can't do any or go anywhere with that fortress or with that lock there unless he wants to spend a hammer that I believe he's out of now.
We just saw 1 more on the side of Baszle, so Raikou was not able to make that strat, but I think it is a good possibility that if he does break the rock, he will have a couple levels advantage coming back. But that also means if Baszle does use the hammer there, then he is going to miss a Hammer Brother completely. And really the only gain is 1 level and possibly Hammer Brothers, depending on how you decide to play it.
So it does look like, oh yeah, chat, sorry, we missed the commands with Baszle getting the Tanuki kill on the on Morton there, and as he goes into 5-1. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he'll just have to do it again so we have another chance here. RaikouRider currently going through 7-4. Pretty easy at this point. Not an item that he's looking for here. So he'll just finish off 7-4 with no further issues.
Baszle's got himself into the pipe in 6 and sees the Hammer Brothers in front of him, and it looks like he's going to go and go back into the pipe transition.
Very interesting. Okay, he's going to go ahead and play a fortress. Doesn't know if that's necessary or not. I don't believe it is. I don't think we saw Raikou play 3F1.
I don't think it is. I think if anything, it's going to break that lock that was in the... Oh, the door 3 glitch. He got it.
That was very nicely done. That's not something we see all the time in tournaments. You got to believe that Baszle's having fun at this point to be able to pull off something like that. You know, you kind of hope, you kind of guess, you know, that kind of thing. If you get it, it saves a few seconds. But talk about a gutsy call that was just perfectly executed there.
RaikouRider just took down a 5-hit Lemmy and collects the wand. He'll be making his way down to World 7 now, which I believe is World 7 the only one left?
That is correct. Both World 6 and 7 were vanilla for us today. And looks like Baszle... Oh! Okay, so Baszle decides to break the rock next to the level. So he's just going to skip 1 level. He still had a cloud. Oh, I don't like that.
he must be thinking that that lock that's in the way of the fortress is a lock that he might not be able to clear otherwise. Maybe he's thinking there's a third fortress somewhere that he hasn't seen.
Well, that would be true. I believe there's this third fortress on the right-hand side, but I don't believe either of them were required. I think 5F2 was the one that broke the lock in front of your way, but then other than that, that's it.
I think RaikouRider did he just activate his anchor? It looked like he might have, and it was a fire suit, a fire flower.
Okay, so Baszle finding out what actually answered the question for me earlier. This was a 2-fort World 6. So Baszle beat 3F1, knew that the other one was required, which was actually 5F2. So I don't know, maybe feeling just a little bit behind here, decides to go ahead and use a cloud. Not a bad decision. You know, you're definitely wanting to get closer to the World 6 pipe, finish off the castle, go after World 7, and maybe see if you can make up some time here.
Baszle getting a little bit trolled by Lemmy before he was able to make his way out of there, but he does successfully. Grabs his one, and he's out into World 7 as RaikouRider finishes up the first screen of 7F2, everybody's favorite fortress.
Interestingly enough, World 7 fortresses were not paired this time, so it was not possible to plan for the Fort Knox. We did see RaikouRider, though, have a tail on that one, so a bit of a head start for him for sure. But Baszle just now entering into the World 7 that we see RaikouRider in, so Baszle doing his best to get caught up here.
Now, RaikouRider has a cloud, but doesn't have a music box, so he's going to skip the number 8 card and go into the Nipper Muncher stage. Not a bad call at all. It's not a long stage, of course, and does give you an item. In this case, it does give him a music box, which he's not going to be able to use.
Now, and a bit of an unfortunate item there, and Baszle now playing another fortress I don't believe is required, but we'll have to come back for that. Obviously, it's impossible to tell as you're first starting. Kind of the whole situation of if you see a fortress, go ahead and play it. That way you don't have to come back.
I agree. As long as it's a fortress that you're equipped to handle, I think that it's probably always a smart move to go ahead and play it, as opposed to finding out way too late that you should have already done it and you're behind. But if it's a risk that you're ready to take because of the circumstances that you're in with the match, go ahead.
Absolutely, and we might actually see that come out for Baszle here in a little bit, because both of these runners are going to be close, and that absolutely is true. We're only about a half level or half world difference. But you know, if you're on the side of Baszle, you know, he's going to be looking for a fight. He's got 7F2 here. He just equipped the anchor. You're absolutely right. That was the fire flower. So, you know, we've only got a few levels differences here, and it's, you know, depending on what Baszle decides to use, could mean the difference of him going into World 8 a lot quicker. So now we have to play the game of how many bridges does it take to get to Bowser, and we'll see if the runners do play fortresses and which one's required. So it looks like there's one, and should be interesting.
One of the quickest answers we've ever seen to how many bridges does it take to get to Bowser. And on the screen that RaikouRider is in, the spotlight room or the dark room, he finds out that there's two, well, yeah, at least two. There could be also the fortress sprite.
You know, 4 pipes at the very beginning, and right now Raikou just looking for some answers at this point. Needs to figure out, you know, he knows where Bowser is. That's always a great place to be, but now he's got to figure out how to get to those fortresses. And I believe with 4 pipes at the very beginning, it's a good possibility that he actually could play no levels except for the fortresses that he wants to.
That's quite possible. Now, he's got the fortress sprite that he just entered, and he's also got the navy sprite on the other side of it. The question is, when you finish this one, which you've got the Roll 2 fort, when you finish Roll 2 fort, do you immediately go and check to see if the bridge is built, or do you play the other fort?
Honestly, my opinion of that is you haven't seen the done yet. RaikouRider has played a sensational game so far, 29 minutes. He's still in Bowser's Castle. He's minutes away from finishing this up. I fully agree with the guys in chat that say play them both, then go check.
I like it, and we do see that it's the Air Force stage. This is also a relatively quick stage. So absolutely no reason to nope out, spend a 1-up in order to make a quick check in case you didn't like what you saw.
And really what's left? You've already played 6F2 and 7F2 or 7F1, which would have had the reason for the tail to come back into it. I don't believe it was a tank stage. If it was, you're absolutely right. It could have been a level. But Raikou, with a tail, it's a really easy way to get through the Air Force, especially with the auto scroller turned off. I like the call.
I agree. Baszle is finishing up Ludwig's fight. He's trying to get the fire kill. Looks like he may have gotten the fire kill on Ludwig and grabs one, gets out. But RaikouRider is in the driver's seat with this, having defeated 2 of the fortresses, and those will either open up the bridge or open up one of the locks that he needs in order to get to the bridge. Now we see that it wasn't the bridge yet, so he's got 1 or 2 locks on that spotlight room, the dark room, that he's going to have to go and move around and try to play through. Ooh, dodges a hand trap and gets into World 8 Fortress.
What a maniacal twist of events. If Baszle plays this any differently, we know 2 of the fortresses. We know they're not required. Now, Baszle doesn't know this. There's no way he could possibly know this here. Now he knows there's 1 bridge. I wonder if he's going to play the super tanks, which I believe is at the top of the dark room. So if he goes and ends up getting to the top left, okay, no, I'm completely wrong. I don't have a clue which one's which. I thought they were pointing in different directions. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about here. So, looking very linear kind of at this point.
I think it is pretty linear. That lock that was right in front of the hand trap, I believe, was actually broken by one of the 2 fortresses on the hand bridge screen. And you can see he's got no way to go. He's got to go back to the hand bridge screen in order to get to where he wants to go. Now, RaikouRider crosses that hand trap again to go back to make a check. And in front of him was an overworld stage, and he's got the opening.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that we should expect to see Raikou start to play really aggressive, because with those 2 missed fortresses, that's minutes on your time now. We saw him coming into World 8. He was playing his first couple fortresses at 28 minutes. Now 31.5 minutes in, he knows what Baszle can do. Baszle's trying to figure out exactly what RaikouRider knows. These guys are so close at this point, and they have no idea. But Raikou has to feel like, seconds, not minutes, before Baszle finishes.
Absolutely, and probably got a second eye on that screen, on the race time screen, to see if he ever does see that completion, hoping that he's able to get out through it. He's having those dodging the laser statues and now trying to spawn the fireballs and expertly dodges them.
Yeah, very nicely done. Even though he's playing aggressive, he's playing to finish. He needs to get done here. Even to the point where we didn't see hardly any tries come out for the clips. It was 1 done, 1 done, 1 done. That's it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Raikou, having to keep his cool under all this pressure, does finish off the level. As soon as we see Bowser, he's gone. Get your GGs in chat for Raikou.
Absolutely. Very well done, RaikouRider, with the hammer kill on Bowser. You love to see it. And an excellent finish by RaikouRider. Official time, 32 minutes and 48 seconds.
What an extraordinary time. I mean, I don't remember this being Challenge Cup. I don't think this is Challenge Cup. These guys are so good.
I mean, it does feel like these guys playing like this. I think a couple of years ago, they definitely would have been in the bracket stages, no doubt. This was an awesomely played run by both of these guys. And it actually goes to show what the community is developing, with a lot of people interested, a lot of people playing, and a lot of people developing skill through their practice. And I'm excited about what this is becoming.
Absolutely. And it actually took me a moment there because I wanted to build on that. We have just put some links in the chat that if you want to know anything more about this game, if you want to know more about the community, now is the time to join. These guys are racing like every single night. If you want to get better, just jump in, figure out how to get your game open, and play. The team is so awesome. The community is so great. A lot of really good people, and that's actually what drew me into the game at the very beginning. was just all these people who were so kind, wanting to race, wanting to make you a part of everything. You know, you just jump in and play. And the first time I raced with these guys, it took me 2.5 hours. So, you know, get in, get started, get playing, and, you know, relive a classic. This is a game that we know and love and really grew up with, and we hope that you'll enjoy it as much as we do.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Growlwolf. We do now have Baszle. He's in the World 8 Fortress. He knows that it's got to be one of these last two stages, Fortress stages at least, and he doesn't know if, just like RaikouRider, he didn't know which one of the two tank sprites north of his current position are going to be their true tank. So we could see, depending on how the fact that he probably knows that RaikouRider has already won, that could affect the decision that he makes here after this. Maybe not. We'll see how he plays it, but I'm glad to see, again, him finishing up. It's great to see a runner who feels confident enough and feels well enough about his performance that he's happy enough just to keep on going.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful display of sportsmanship here. You know, Baszle, I have to believe that he feels like he's, you know, wanting to do his best, maybe kind of get into a rhythm here. You know, you've just played a Fortress, he's going back. I kind of appreciate that decision on his side to go ahead and kind of go back and forth, you know, play a fort, come back, go play a fort, come back. That way you're kind of getting more evidence, and if there's one fort that you happen to play that Raikou didn't, you know, that could be the difference of a game for them.
So Baszle does go ahead and equip a star and a hammer suit, getting into Bowser's castle. Is climbing the Disco Waffle staircase and getting the Everyman clip. Hold on, getting the Everyman clip. There he goes into the Potable room.
First try.
First try every time.
Absolutely, no reason to dwell on anything else. But looks like he will go for the bottom route here. I got to be careful of that thwomp, but thankfully even thwomps do not live past the hammer. And Baszle's going to be looking for the bottom route. We'll see if it's any kinder than the top route was.
I was hoping that maybe he would take the DLP 316 clip that through the middle route coming off of that question block.
You know, every now and then these guys come up with something that's absolutely extraordinary, and the DLP clip is no less incredible. In fact, I think it's one of the most incredible clips in the game. Definitely the most incredible in Bowser's Castle, because he figured out you could go blazing fast speed, get right into the item block, and then like lift up at the right time, and then it takes you all the way to Bowser. Like, what?
That was an incredible clip. And that was also a tough Bowser fight. It looked like, well, Bowser didn't land where he normally lands, and then he, I guess maybe when he is jumping, he's not vulnerable to the hammers, but he took a few extra hits, I believe. But GG Baszle coming in with his official time at 37 minutes and 19 seconds. So well done, great finish, and we'll be looking forward to match number 2.
Absolutely, and we'll be getting set up here in just one moment for that. Now is a perfect time to take a break, but you know, coming back to the end of that seed with Baszle, just with Bowser being even awkward there, you know, he doesn't sit like he normally does. Usually you have like that extra brick where you're just under and you can get those hammers up right into him, but not this time. And I think that kind of explains the entirety of Baszle's seed in that one fight, that it was just a little bit awkward. It was just a little bit more work than was necessary. Seemed like he played a couple of extra levels a few times, and really makes up the difference of what you see in the times here. That's really it.
No doubt. Just I don't think it was really any mistakes. Probably just a little bit of routing and just a little bit of luck that really separated us here. So I hope you rest of you guys stick around, because this is going to be another great match coming up. Of course, it is a best of 3. So if Baszle is able to win in the second match, we will have a Game 3 rubber match probably played tonight right as soon as we're finished. But we do have match number 2 coming up. We're going to get that set up in the next few minutes, so please stick around.
Absolutely, and I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to tell you to stay here. You're not going to want to miss this, because we just got a hot take in the race channel from RaikouRider, who was so proud of his performance, and duly noted, there was a great performance. A 32.49 is better than my PB. It's better than a lot of runners coming in for the first time racing this. And you know, RaikouRider, he's been around, he's been playing the randomizer for a while, but a 32:49 is exceptional. A great race from a great runner. And he says in the chat, I'm going to rat him out here. He says, if I play like this all tournament, I think I can take it off. And I have to agree with him. And I know that sounds extremely cocky, maybe a little belligerent, but honestly, I have to agree with him because what we saw out of RaikouRider is not the 2-4 record that he was given in the group stages. He is such an exceptional runner, and we saw it on display here. A 32:49 is an outstanding time. It's just, this is how good the community is becoming. And, you know, I hope that RaikouRider has a very successful run in this, especially if he keeps playing like that, because what did he do wrong? And honestly, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know that he did anything wrong in that run.
I don't think so either. Anything where you could possibly even begin to second guess is stuff that you have the advantage of seeing it after the fact with that 2020 hindsight vision that he doesn't have going and playing it live. That's the only things that we could even begin to. And quite frankly, if probably most of us here watching, and I know myself for a fact, were to be like, oh, hey, well, you could have done this better. Had I gone and tried to do that, I wouldn't have done it better. So he's definitely done some, he's practiced. I'll put it that way. He has definitely practiced, and it has shown.
Absolutely. What a veteran of the game, and just playing an outstanding race. And Baszle too, on the side, on the right side of the screen we have here, is playing exceptionally as well. You know, even looking back, it's not even so much 2020, it's almost like ESP in the way that Raikou is playing. You know, we saw a perfect route going through World 3, and there was 2 fortresses. And he said, no, there's one more pipe. I know that's the one to Windy. And he went and played. He played directly to that to that pipe, took it, boom, Windy. That was it. That was the end of it. And with that, I think he got like a level or 2 advantage on Baszle, and then just kept the gas on. It did not matter. The items just didn't come out to play. He even had an unused cloud at the very end of the world, and still an exceptional run. Maybe that cloud could have helped in one place or another. Maybe, you know, you talk about a lot of maybes, but there's just not a whole lot we can maybe about RaikouRider's run. It was exceptional.
Hear, hear, my friend. Hear, hear.
Yeah, I'm getting excited, man. Let's go game 3. Let's go.
Oh, I love Game 3 matches. That's the only thing I don't like about Game 2 is that sometimes I find myself rooting for the guy who lost Game 1 because I do want a Game 3. But let's see it.
Hey, I'm on the commentary booth. I don't remember saying anything saying I wasn't biased, and I don't really care who's running at this point. I just want a Game 3. Let's get our money's worth. Let's go.
All right. Hey, I can second that.
Sounds great. We have RaikouRider getting himself ready to go. He's got the hash there. Baszle should be loading up here in just one moment. We like to give our runners just a break for a moment to kind of regather themselves. And I think for Baszle, maybe a good decision to, you know, kind of walk it off for a second, get some water, get ready, get refocused, because game 2 is yours. You've got to win it. And if we keep saying both levels of play like this from Baszle, it could come down to the wire of who gets the clip first in Bowser's Castle and who has the hammer suit.
I've seen some excellent races in the weeklies and some of the other matches and tournaments where it's come down to just seconds, and sometimes it's a matter of just who gets a better, more efficient Bowser kill, or who climbs that disco waffle staircase better, and maybe just gets the clip at the right moment. So yeah, every game is its own animal, and every game is going to bring something unique to the stage. That's the beauty of Randomizer.
100% yes. Absolutely. We love this game so much because it is the game that we fell in love with when we were 8 years old and we saw the Nintendo for the first time. It was the game that we wanted to play after school with our friends, our family, whatever. And it's a game that we grew up with. And to see it in the Randomizer, it's like you took chess, rebuilt the board, and gave it back to somebody and said, yeah, I know how to play. I know the rules. I know the game. I know how all the pieces move. But wait, the game board, it's different. Now I have to figure this out. Let's go.
Speaking of it, we do have matching hashes on our screens, and I'm going to say what world is going to be world 1? I'm going to say world 3. I like the number 3 right now. Reminds me of the ocean.
I hate to one up you, but I got to go with 4. I think it's going to be interesting to see.
Oh, we got some hopes for reverse world order. You know, Leslie Pro, I agree. I love reverse world order. I hope we get to see it sometime in this tournament. Or maybe direct world order.
We were very close in the group stages. We actually had, I think 5 and 6 were flipped, or 4 and 5 or something like that. But it was a very, very close to vanilla world order.
I was right.
Ew! 7-1.
Oh, and 7-1, right to start us out at the gate.
I'm sorry, but what a disgusting level to start with. A great call on you for the World 3. A terrible start for these runners.
And did you notice that 7-1 was actually a number 10 card? So that means that we will only see one fortress in this World 3.
Absolutely. I found that out and my jaw dropped. What an interesting way for the randomizer to take over that. And obviously we still don't know if the in card, well, obviously we know in card's not enabled and the question mark levels don't exist, as we saw a 10 panel there. But what we don't know is this time, do hammers break locks?
Baszle and Baszle got trolled there by a jump and a fall, and RaikouRider is going to get trolled here by this turtle shell. He's going to have to watch out, and getting trolled by a respawning fire snake.
Definitely going to have to be careful here. Thankfully, the careful jumps do pay off for RaikouRider, and with that, he is through 7-1. Eager to put that one behind him, I am sure.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. That can be a brutal level. Usually, most of our runners will clip 7-1. They'll never even see it, but of course, when you're starting out small Mario, the clip isn't really an option. Now, 6-6 is our next stage.
I am a terrible human being.
And this one's all on you, buddy.
This is all on me. Oh, I almost feel bad. I don't, but I almost feel bad. What a start for these runners. A small 7-1 to start. Baszle, oh.
And don't feel bad because I know that everybody who's watching this is loving it.
Absolutely, but the guy playing it on the right side of the screen is not loving it, as he just took a death at the very top of the level to that Koopa Troopa shell.
Oh no, that hurts.
Oh man, RaikouRider staying cool as a cucumber though as he goes through 6-6. Hopefully Baszle can get through this time. You don't want to play it again.
I'm rooting for you, Baszle. Come on, buddy, get through there, get out of that. And he's gonna have to forgo his mushroom.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. That little bit of damage boost would mean a whole lot here. Baszle deciding to go through a pipe. I think that was a mistake. Honestly, I didn't know you could do that there, but
I didn't know that pipe was active, yeah.
But Baszle just trying to get through this Venus fire trap, get onto the last part, and get through it, because you've got a lot to go, and he's about to find 6-6 as well.
I think he's going to do a mega jump. No, he's going to let the grab the Koopa. And, oh.
I was about to say, I hope he goes back down the pipe or something. Just get out of the way, do something.
I don't know if there was any recovering off that one. Once the Koopa shell missed the fire snake.
Yeah, absolutely. What a terrifying place for Baszle to be at this point. And so early on, the seed is 7-1. You can't clip, which is what our runners do the majority of the time. You can't clip the level. You're small. Well, I guess you can. It's just very complicated and very hard to do. But even though you can clip, it's not something our runners have practiced. I'm almost sure of it. Obviously, neither one went for it. And, you know, Baszle just having such a problem with this. And deep in your gut, you're feeling like, wait a second, this race is over.
And so we do have in chat, so Stewie Cartman, another one of our runners, is saying that apparently there is a way to clip. Leslie Pro has relayed to us. I haven't seen it with small 7-1, not that I know of, but if Stewie Cartman says it, then and Leslie Pro is willing to repeat it, I'll trust him.
Yeah, they seem like pretty trustworthy guys, but I guess we'll let it pass this time.
Basil does get the mushroom this time on his way up the door and does avoid making a second visit to that pipe.
So looks like Raikou has found out that that fortress is in fact required. I am terribly sorry to these runners. This is a awful World 3, but thankfully Basil now through 7-1 and will hopefully start to make some ground up because we've still got a race on our hands.
I hope we still have a race in our hands. He does have 6-6 coming up that he's going to have to fight through. But if he can clear that, then we will definitely be in a great position for a nice race.
Absolutely, and really hopeful that he does. I think that would be the worst case scenario. Game over means Basil will go through 7-1 again, hopefully in less time.
Well, he's definitely got a lot of practice, so he should be able to at least make it pretty quick.
Sure hope so. Again, the ground clip not coming out. No surprise there. Something that you try when you've got free time and want to mess around with SMB3, but in a randomizer, especially when you're feeling this far behind, the only thing you can hope for is that Raikou is doing it just as bad as you did.
Well, Raikou gets into 7-9 and takes one bite from a giant Koopa Troopa, but has managed to do pretty well. I've seen lately several runners in recent matches have gotten sprite count locked, essentially, with trying to pick up those ice blocks and not being able to just because of the number of active sprites on the screen, and the system just won't let them do it.
I just found out about that not too long ago too, and that's what an interesting thing. You know, even 30 years later, this game, more than 30 years later actually, this game is still surprising. You know, even with like the memory and the way that things change, you know, we haven't doctored that. It's still the same memory file that you would get in a vanilla. We've just altered it a little bit. But with that, you know, he still has to play, you know, careful so he doesn't get soft locked on that part to be able to use that and continue on with the level. Sometimes those make a big deal.
So Basil this time got through 7-1 first try, and he picks up that star power up at the very beginning of 7-1 and is powering his way through it. He is just yeeting on through this 6-6.
You love to see it. I really, really, really hope Basil not only gets through this level this time, but also is able to play a lot more aggressively because of it. And I sure hope that he can make a game out of this still. He's not done yet.
Not at all. He is trying to be careful with these bloopers, especially the nannies. He's got a little bit of a pinch, but that was a nice deke on those bloopers. Got him out of the way and making his way through. Oh, but the nanny comes up from behind him.
Absolutely gut-wrenching. I'm hoping so bad. You know, I don't know if Basil's getting mad, if he's getting salty, if he's getting frustrated, or if he's just getting focused. But you kind of love the whole idea of Basil playing really aggressive here. You know the strats. You've seen him a whole bunch of times. Put him on display. Show him off.
You know what? I figure if you got the talent, you might as well show the people and prove that you got it. No sense in hiding at this stage, and he is not hiding at all. He is definitely showing what he's got here, trying to dodge those bloopers and those cheeps, but the game has given him a brutal pattern here. So mad he's got epic lag, and even the sprites are flickering because there's too many of them per line.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but it looked like Basil was playing that to his advantage, where some of the piranhas actually weren't able to spawn because he just was putting too much on the screen. And since
what?
were behind him, they couldn't catch up. And I love the effort.
You know what? Once again, show the knowledge that you have of the game and use anything you can find to your advantage.
Absolutely. You know, I almost hate to see that they're like 9 minutes in and Basil's just getting off the first 2 levels, because if he was playing at this level and they were a lot closer, that's a huge change.
Oh, Basil just went into a flooded stage with the Sledge Brothers. And is he gonna pull this off?
Oh yeah.
Oh my. Somebody clip that, because going into a flooded stage as Small Mario and winning is one thing, but going against the flooded stage with Sledge is awesome. That was amazing.
Absolutely. Just even if nothing else, to gain your composure. You've just taken one death there. You want the item, and then to come back in and outplay not one but two Sledge Brothers is fascinating. It's absolutely wonderful. And we just got a question in chat where they asked if they don't know much about Mario. Is there a best Mario to speedrun? And I gotta say the answer is, for me, SMB3 is gorgeous. It's a beautiful game. It's a lot of fun. But the answer comes down to you. You've got to figure out which Mario you like best and which one you're going to enjoy playing over and over and over and over again, because it does take a lot of time and energy and effort.
And Bugcatcher, right after him, does answer whichever one you like the best. I've got to agree. There's lots of them to play, and there's a lot of folks in this community and in some of the other communities who they do lots of others as well. So the vanilla Super Mario Brothers is a popular one, and I've even seen some guys here do Super Mario decathlons where they'll play the vanilla versions of 10 of the games back to back. So there's a lot out there to choose from. Find something you like and have fun with it. Go nuts, buddy.
Absolutely. And actually, a very interesting call out there. RaikouRider is actually doing something very similar this weekend. He's going to be playing in a marathon where he's going to be demoing a lot of the different randomizers, I believe also including SMB3. And we're looking forward to seeing that. A little bit of pre-game shooters, but certainly not showing them here as he finds 2-4 with the tail.
2-4 with tail. He does have the option to go up top, but I think he ran out of time on his timer before he was able to get high enough to that. So he's going to have to redo that flight. Second try, first time.
First try every time. Baszle figuring out the utter ridiculousness of this World 3. Does see that fortress down at the bottom there, so he's going to have to decide what he wants to do. It looks like he's going to go back around, play where 3-2, 3-3, and Fortress usually are. Or I guess 3-3 and Fortress, but it's 5-9.
Oh, yeah, he's going to go spend one of his 1-ups to get out of that quickly and go approach it from the other direction.
I am so thankful he has a few 1-ups to give at this point. What a nasty World 3. If there's a nastier World 3, at me, tag me. I'd like to see it, because this has been an utter nightmare for these runners.
Baszle is going to be able to pick up another one of those 1-ups in the Hammer Brothers stage. And a mushroom, it looked like.
A very interesting call out we just got in chat. Macobra has confirmed that hammers break the locks, which we just saw RaikouRider do. There was a lock right next to where he just played his level. So a very interesting call out here. That's going to see if that comes back to help or hurt these guys.
RaikouRider does find with that 6-5 featuring Boss Bass and feeds Boss Bass for the first time in this seed. So we got our gulps and nom noms for Boss Bass. You know what? Sometimes, see, I like taking care of Boss Bass like that. Give him a fireball right to the face and then go somewhere else.
Yeah, going to have to be careful. He should not respawn with that scene change. So a good play on the side of RaikouRider to not have to deal with it again. And I agree. You know, if you see a Boss Bass, unless there's a reason to keep him on that side of the screen, such as 7-5, which has the top and the bottom route that you have to go back and forth on, just get rid of him. Don't have to worry about him again for a little while.
And this 6-5 is actually one of the more kind 6-5s that I've seen lately. And no fire snakes, no fire chomps getting in your way, just some Paragoombas and Koopa Troopas that you got to deal with. But it's easy for somebody like him.
Absolutely. And I got to applaud RaikouRider here. I believe that was like his only death that he's taken so far. And it was to a rogue Boss Bass on 6-5. For him to have gone through a 7-1, 6-6, and come out unscathed, that's impressive.
And an absolutely rogue Boss Bass at that. Emphasis on the rogue. Now here we got Roy Koopa, who has not got the Earthquake property. And looks like goes down to 3.
So pretty vanilla for the side of Raikou for that Roy. And looking like he's going to be going into the next world here in just one moment. Get your guesses in chat. We've seen 3, we've seen 5. I got to go with 7 this time.
Well, I like 7, but I'm going to go with 1, but we'll keep it odd numbers then evens.
It sounds like a plan as Baszle is starting to make up some ground here, hopefully. Is going to be meeting up with Wendy in just one moment as soon as he can get through the pipe. And that will spell the end of World 3 for Baszle here. And hopefully we'll start to make up some ground within these next worlds.
And the question in chat, the tournament, you are correct. The tournament does not have screen watching. The runners are not allowed to view their opponent's screen. So they don't know what's coming up, nor do they know where their opponent is in the match.
Absolutely. You know, in a place like this, Baszle could be watching to see, hey, what's the most optimal strat? So where Raikou would have to play a couple levels to figure it out, you know, Baszle would be able to get that advantage, which is why it's definitely not allowed. And if you are caught, that is a huge problem. And, you know, it's for the sportsmanship of the game. You know, we're doing our best to have a good time here. We don't need the cheating and stuff.
Well, Wendy does give Baszle a rough time and takes him out with one of her wand smashes or candies. It's hard to tell which one got him, but he's going to have to go and replay Wendy. Meantime, RaikouRider is in the Frozen Thwomp Fortress and gets the 3 hits on the static boom boom and makes his way out quite quickly.
You know, we were talking about the fight with Wendy a moment ago. What a terrible airship to have this on. World 7 airship is, I believe, the longest one in the game and not an easy one to get through.
And then once you throw in a Wendy fight that can take more than a few tries to finish up, especially if Wendy ends up requiring extra hits, it's an unfortunate one. And she does go the full distance, but she gets that last little ring out at him.
I think the call to make a fire flower play here is a very good call. You know, Baszle has to know that he's behind at this point, has to feel like he's just got to do something to make this work. And, you know, maybe a fight with Wendy with a fire flower could be what he needs.
That would be a great call, as long as he keep it and get the hits on him, or hits on her that he needs to make it work. So let's see how this goes. He's about in the cabin again. Meanwhile, RaikouRider's in 2-3, making his way through with the tail. Okay, he's just needed the extra power up, the extra hit point. There's 2 hits. Here's 3 hits. He's still big. 4 hits. He's still big. And 5 hits. He's got it.
Whoa. Okay, that was a little too close for my nerves, but a great job from Baszle to finish that off. I appreciate the fact he was going for the hit as soon as she was coming out of that Koopa shell spin, because if she can't get big and throw a ring, and you could keep on top of her, keep getting those jumps in, you're in the perfect timing. And with that being his last life, you knew his nerves had to be going crazy there too, but thankfully no game over. Bring it back.
Absolutely. He's got through World 1. Maybe that's all he needed to finish the rest of this strong. Now, the question is, does he go and take an intentional loss in order to reset his lives?
I don't think so. You know, with this being World... Okay, he will. I was going to say, with this being World 5, you know there's a fortress right there. You're going to have to play it at least to get through the pipe, or to the pipe, or build a bridge. You know, you don't know yet. It's a blue fortress. Likely it's going to be something on the top. You just don't know. I would have played it. You know, this is 1-2. It's a familiar level. Go ahead and play it. Play the fortress, then take your death if you need to. And your fortress... Well, no, I take that back. No, I think that was a good call. Because he would have still had to play 1-2 if he game over. So, I'm sorry. I'm just talking for no reason.
Hey, you know what? That's why he's on the screen, and I'm just sitting here talking about him.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think that's a good call. With us being commentators, I would do it one way. Diesel, you would do it a different way. And then these 2 runners might do it a different way. And honestly, you know, we do our best to try to give as much shots as we can just to, you know, explain what we see and what we would do in these situations. But honestly, these guys are good, and they know more than I do.
RaikouRider's in World 6. He finds a hand stage, the Hammer Brothers hand stage, right out the start of it, and does a nice dodge of the twin Boomerang Brothers in order to get himself a Fire Flower and out and down the rest of the path, and picks up a Fire Flower at the end for his bonus.
A great item to have. I think the only other ones I might want to see is probably just hammers and Jugum Clouds, honestly. You know, even a hammer suit, you hope you get one. If you do, you're good. No big deal. But with all those hand levels all producing the same item, you know, Fire Flower is not a bad one to have.
Not at all. And Baszle's finished up the first fortress in World 5, posing as World 2, and finds his way to the top of the screen and is partway through, doing pretty good progress already through his second map. Gets the music box.
So Baszle does have a hammer here, but it's only one extra level if you go and play the fortress. I think he needs to play the fortress here, save that hammer for another chance of it possibly coming out to play in like World 7, 6, you know, something that's going to be a lot lengthier and could give you a bit of a head start. We see RaikouRider having to play 3F2 here. We don't know where the other pipes are. I wonder if Baszle holds on to it.
You know, I think I'm going to guess, of course, this is entirely me guessing. I'm going to guess he does. And the reason I'm saying that is because that seems like the riskier move. And when you're in this kind of situation where you're pretty sure that you're behind, the riskier move is typically going to be the smarter move, or at least the more typically played move.
Absolutely. And Baszle does have a lot to come up with, as he will have to get through this 1.5 beta level. Thankfully, he was able to use that Koopa Troopa to his advantage, but it does come back to bite him. But hopefully Baszle does go for that riskier play. Play the fortress. Don't even ask the question of, do hammers break rocks and locks, or is it just rocks this time? Because you've got a World 6. Pretty vanilla start so far. There's one fortress at the very beginning, and you might play it, play the rock, keep going.
So we just saw RaikouRider spend a Fire Flower, entered World 8-1, and decided he did not really want to take ground path through World 8-1, spin a 1-up to go and also take a P-Wing, and is doing the flying southwest over World 8-1.
Yeah, the flyover is not a bad move at all. A really good way to stay careful, stay protected, not have to deal with it. And now you've got a tail for the next level, so not a terrible place to be at all.
Baszle is coming up on the end of the timer with that, holding that turtle shell, but does kick it away in time and clears the path out of 6-5. He's out of 6-5, and that will take him through very quickly. He'll be fighting Mr. Roy.
I hope so bad Baszle gets another hammer for World 6, because I believe, this might just be a hot take, but I believe with that first fortress where 6F1 usually is, and if you break that rock next to the pipe, you've basically got a free Lemmy here. We'll have to wait and see for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's free Lemmy.
Baszle's Roy fight. Gets the first hit, gets the second hit, and this should go pretty simple. Third hit, oh, it was a 4-hit Roy. But 4 hits, Roy goes down, and Baszle is on his way.
You know, all in all, worlds apart, they're about 2. We've got RaikouRider, who's going to be trying to finish up World 6 in a moment. But if Baszle's able to play maybe a little riskier, go after some of those Hammer Brother fights, maybe go after a couple things, then you have a chance. But okay, so it looks like Raikou is able to finish off. Okay, I think I might have missed something, because Leslie Pro just said the pipes don't work that way. So I must have missed a pipe at the beginning of World 6. I apologize.
Well, I'm still trying to piece together what the World 6 map looked like in my head. But regardless, RaikouRider made his way out of it pretty quickly, and Lemmy is sitting here in the corner. It's almost like he's stuck. Gets the 4th hit and 5-hit Lemmy, and finally unstuck. Baszle's playing the Frozen Thwomp Fortress now. That should build that bridge and get him out of World 4 as soon as he can get past the last couple of stages.
I'm a little surprised with Basil's decision here. I saw him make the exact same one in the last seed, but he decided to go for a fire flower instead of a tail. Now, that may not seem like a whole lot and pretty innocuous, but you can fly over about half of the fortress, or under, I should say. You can fly under it, and it's like perfect timing. If you're able to pull it off, you save a lot of time because you're not waiting for those thwomps to move. So he decided to go for a fire flower, and it's his call, but just kind of an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, that is definitely a pretty awesome strategy to see pulled off in that 6F2. And when it's done well, where you can skip almost 2/3 of the fortress in that opening setup, it's amazing to see. RaikouRider is trying to figure out the pipe maze that is World 7, has already found the mushroom house island. Skips the item there. He's going to go and Basil's in 6-4. Oh, has gone down twice now in 6-4.
Yeah, 6-4 just being a bit of a nightmare. As we talked about the memory issues earlier, there's so many enemies that come into the screen right away at this point that your game just slows to almost a grinding halt. So as Basil tries to get through 6-4 here, hopefully he can do so. But we also have 7-5, where RaikouRider's facing a very similar enemy set.
He's got those fire chomps, fire snakes, and he is equipped with a tail. And being equipped with a tail is very good for this stage, because you get to do things like that, just fly over parts. And then, oh no, the spinner at the end sent Basil down into the abyss.
Absolutely terrifying to see. And Basil, I'm sure, just has a knot in his stomach that's growing bigger and bigger, as this has just been a terrifying seed for him. Meanwhile, Raikou, having a bit of an issue with the tail, not being able to fully get through, does have an issue with some fire chomps there, and isn't quite done with them yet.
Oh no, and he's in that part where you think you can get out, but oh, he's going to have to just damage boost through this fire snake. Unless, oh, it jumps him.
Again, we talk about the veterancy, we talk about the experience between these runners, and Raikou realizing that third jump does go up means he does get through unscathed. A very nice call to have just a little bit of patience and be able to get through without any further damage.
Very nicely done, RaikouRider. My hat's off to you.
Another water arena on the side of Basil has to play patiently as well, as he was small and a boomerang was coming back to him. So instead of going for the other one, he made the right call of dodging and then going, which did prevent the damage there.
And it was a successful battle. He got out through the flooded stage while Small Mario and succeeded. So once again, well done.
Absolutely. Raikou still in the pipe maze. It looks like there is a bridge that's still required. So he is going to have to go back and still try to figure out, wait, what'd I miss?
He's found the room with a view. I think he's found pretty much all the islands. Excuse me there. Seems like he's probably found all the pipes. If he can just remember which pipes go where, he will be out of here pretty quickly. And of course, he's found the super tanks, which is one of the fortress levels.
Thankfully, in this World 7, it plays just a little bit nicer than World 8, as you will be able to see what this breaks most likely. So once RaikouRider does finish up the super tanks, he should be able to go back, figure out exactly what lock broke where, and then decide whether or not he wants to play a level and then a fortress, or be able to go back and take on Ludwig.
Okay, and we do have chat coming in and saying that the fire snakes, the high jump is the fourth jump. I never could remember which one it was. I just kind of always kind of sit and hope, and if I have the opportunity to be patient, see what I get. But hey, now I've got some more knowledge to throw into the memory bank. So thank you there.
Innocent enough on the side of RaikouRider as he takes on 5-3 for the next time. We've seen a bunch of scary levels this time. I think these runners should be thankful we haven't seen like 7-8, Atlantis, 5-9, some of those that are going to be required.
So we also saw in 5-3, RaikouRider spawned Boss Bass, but in 5-3, Boss Bass will only spawn near the end of the upper part of the stage, which is where you you would encounter him first in most stages all the way to the left. So that's why he shows up there. And as long as you don't decide to throw a fireball in his face, he doesn't come downstairs to play with you. So it's usually best to just let him hang out, dodge him to get down the pipe, and then get out of the way.
Absolutely. Basil figuring out what I missed earlier, and that is there is a pipe at 6, I believe 6-1, that is not going to be, or that is just not going to help, as the rock is where he's going to come out there on that. And it looked like Raikou was going for a pause strat there.
Yeah, he missed a jump over the note blocks in that Piranha stage, and he was trying to pause buffer the Muncher so that he could avoid taking damage. He got a little bit too far on to the next Muncher to avoid taking damage, but he did have a P-Wing that he was going to use to take the next level, so he equipped that, and it's really it all comes out in the wash, so to speak. No damage, and speaking of no damage, one hit Ludwig and the off-screen one grab.
You love to see it. It's just this level of play that we know and we love and we like to see. And what a difference in these seeds so far. RaikouRider finishing off World 5, going into World 6 here in just a moment. At 30 minutes, he was finishing off the World 8 last time at this time.
It goes to show what rolling a tough seed can do to a match. And what it can do to the players who are having to play this. How do you live with yourself, Growlwolf?
Very well. I know that the chat really appreciates it, so I do it for them.
All right, I love that answer. Wonderful answer. And RaikouRider, at this late stage in the seed, takes a decision that I am actually a little surprised to see. He's decided to go and play for the item in 3-7.
I actually don't hate this decision. He also has the possibility of going through some enemies, which, depending on what they are, could be a little bit scary. So that early exit from, I believe, 3-7 makes it a lot easier, or maybe 3-4. I'm getting these confused. Anyway.
But yeah, it's 3-7.
3-7, thank you. So, I kind of like the decision because there's no in-card games. You haven't seen a Hammer Brother suit yet. Hammers break locks, that. Clouds will always skip a level unless, of course, it's a sprite on the screen. So I kind of like the decision. Maybe go for a riskier bet there. Maybe go for something that you're not going to have to deal with enemies on. Yeah, it takes just a little bit longer, but you're rewarded with an item. So, a little bit of a different strategy. I know a lot of runners have their own preferences, but kind of cool.
And it also does give us a little bit of a glimpse into his own thinking as well. And kind of gets me wondering, does he think that he might be behind and may need to be playing for riskier moves?
You have to believe Raikou is feeling pretty good about most of this. Really hasn't taken deaths, really hasn't had any problems. Doesn't know that Baszle had a game over to begin World 3 from that 7-1, and then got to the second world, or 6-6, the second level, and then took a game over and had to start over again. So, he can't feel too bad about this start. But like I said, it's a randomizer, and you're always going to feel like you're behind no matter what happens.
And Baszle's trying to get the fire kill on Lemmy here. Ends up losing his fire flower and then gets smallified, dodging the circus balls very nicely, very well though. But Lemmy is dodging him as well. He finally gets the last hit and gets that one, gets out of there. Nicely done.
Finally, for sure. And I know that's another breath of relief on the side of Baszle, as we've got RaikouRider going through World 5's airship. One of my favorite ones. If you can kind of get going fast, you get along the top of those cannons. Next thing you know, you're in the fight with whoever you're coming up with.
And Teeks88, I just put in the actual flag number there, but it's flags where there are no end cards. There are all the levels are normal, and then the hammers may break locks or may not break locks, and everywhere else it's pretty much standard.
Yeah, for sure. Not a whole lot of differences. We like to keep the game randomized, so the majority of settings are going to stay like that, but we are very interested in seeing some of those things. And the fact that they added a maybe feature is just really a record of how ingenious these guys are. I love that fact. you know, they have a radio button that you click. If it's checkmarked, obviously it's on. If it's blank, it's off. But then they have a little square inside, and that means it's a maybe. And I love playing with those maybe seeds because you maybe could have some Koopalings with randomized health, maybe you don't. And it's just a lot of fun to see. Makobra does a great job of pulling some of these things out. And I love to see this. The fact that you kind of have to play a hammer strategy, but not rely on the hammer strategy, just adds to the ingenuity of it. I love it.
So the flag set that I'm looking forward to seeing maybe on some of the weeklies is the one where it allows you to put, oh Baszle's just entering 7-5 now. The one I'm looking forward to is one that allows you to put question marks on all of the action stages, both the regular numbered panels and the forts, which means you don't know when you're approaching a stage whether it's a fort or not.
Absolutely. What a fun place to be. Another one that I thoroughly enjoy as well is all hand level stages, because then you could go through 8 levels and not get grabbed once, or maybe you have to play every level every time. You know, it's just a lot of RNG, but again, just a lot of fun.
And yes, you do hear pit pats. That's the dog. She's excited. Some of the other people just came home, but she's a lover, a little pit bull. So she says hi.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely thought it was on my side. I have a dog laying not 5 feet from me and a cat that's running around here somewhere. So anyway, it's bound to be something around here.
Oh yeah, there's always critters. You gotta love the critters that you have at the house.
Oh, absolutely. We just got ours back from the vet, so they're a little on the dozy side tonight, but that doesn't stop us from having a red hot race.
Not at all. Speaking of, RaikouRider finishing up yet another fortress and has just the quicksand stage and a hammer brother between him and the final airship.
And what a way to play this seed. A great test of endurance for these two runners, and really just shows what RaikouRider is all about. You know, we had the hot take earlier about him saying, hey, you know, if I keep playing like this, I'm going to win it all. He's right, though. He is absolutely right. He has brought just an absolutely tremendous effort to his first round of the Challenge Cup. And personally, I can't wait to see him do it again. Diesel, I think we need to sign up for another race with him because this is very fun to watch.
I'm definitely up for that. Let's do it.
Sounds good. All right, Raikou, if you're watching this, let us know when your next race is because we want to be here.
And Makobra, just go ahead and put me on the list.
Ditto. We'll do it. But honestly, just absolutely well played from the side of RaikouRider. You know, the inventory management has been outstanding. Baszle has really done a great job as well. You know, we've seen a lot come out of him. He's got to feel good about the first race he ran. It was like a 37-minute and still a fantastic time. A lot of it just came down to routing. So, you know, don't let that deter you. Keep playing, keep practicing. We can't wait to see you in the next tournament.
Absolutely. As the people from McDonald's would say, I'm loving it. Baszle is making his way through the upper stage of 5-3, and we'll see that Boss come back again. He's going to... Oh, so close. Don't feed the Boss, please. We've already seen one of those tonight.
Yeah, Baszle definitely needing to be careful there. And I have a question for WedWizWobe, who said Diesel needs to roll the seeds. Do you not like this? Are you not entertained?
You know, I've actually rolled some nasty ones myself, so let's maybe we'll just toss a coin.
Oh, there we go. You get the first one, I'll get the second one.
Deal.
But if we get another one like this, it will certainly be a very huge test of endurance, as none of the worlds have been friendly either. That World 3 took Raikou 8 minutes, and I don't believe he played any level twice. That's just how grueling that part was.
And Baszle picks up a cloud. Now, looking at our close look on the map of World 8, I haven't seen if that would actually give them any advantage. I didn't see where the numbered stages yet were, because we haven't seen them yet.
A couple of interesting World 8s for sure. This is the most pipes I've seen in 2 races for a long time.
So we did see that one is a hand stage and a numbered stage. He's going to hold on to the cloud anyways. There's no sense in taking the chance and then having to go back through the hand stage anyways. Oh, he would have been able to pipe transition to save that, actually. But still, hand stages and all.
I like the decision to go through here, kind of get some recon, and then come back to the dark stage. Raikou looks like he's going to take an intentional, as he doesn't want to have to play the tank level that isn't required.
Now that was 2-1, so no boom boom, no reason to keep on that one. He's going to get some more knowledge, and he's got an open World 8.
Wow.
That's not even fair.
I don't know. After this seed that these guys have had, I kind of feel bad for him. I think that's probably okay this one time.
Okay, yeah, but I guess everybody needs a little bit of help, and he's played so well. I can't deprive of him of any help. So, yep, we have a -1 bridge, World 8.
Kind of love to see it. The -1 isn't one we usually get, but yeah, very nicely done.
Indeed, now he's doing his same strategy, being careful going through. Oh, nicely done on the dot.
What an exceptional part. Just exceptional patience to just wait it out. You know exactly how long those donuts are. Worst case scenario, you take an early jump. If you still damage boost, you still damage boost. That's fine. You have to do what you got to do. But that perfect patience to land as soon as he did. Fireball crossed over. He's off. He's on to the fight with Bowser. Hey, goodbye. Get your GGs in chat.
Absolutely. GG RaikouRider taking the second match and taking the set over Baszle with second match official time 41 minutes and 6 seconds. So congratulations and good luck to you on your next match.
Absolutely. And we're going to try to get Raikou in here in just a moment. Ask him some questions, see what he thought about that seed. All good things, I'm sure. But we do have Baszle now just doing his best to get caught up as well as he can. This is the World 1, or the, World 1 that he's currently in with the overmap. He will have to play no further levels, as that was the required one, and now he is on to his fight with Larry.
All he's got to do is get through these Sledge Bros, and they give him no trouble.
Now Baszle into the World 5 airship. We'll be taking on Larry in just one moment, but we do have a special guest on the commentary booth with us. GG's, Raikou.
Thanks. If I play like this for every single race in the tournament, I think I'm going to take all of them.
We called you out on that. That was actually very well played, but yeah. Good luck with.
Well, my next match is not going to be easy. I'll tell you that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2 seed versus 3 seed. Those are always exciting, and S Diesel and I have a history in this tournament as well. Not this year's, but in past tournaments we've matched before.
Yeah, S Diesel definitely not a slouch when it comes to the randomizer, but I called you out on the stream, but mainly because I agree with you. The level of performance we saw, for this to be a 41-minute seed, if you watch the entire thing, then you know how grueling of a seed it was. And the 41.07, I'm still impressed by.
That seed was just awful. And especially that we had hammerlocks on, that seed was so long. I was really starting to get worried that my attitude of just take what's in your way and just go was going to get me in, because there were a lot of places where a hammer could have saved a ton of time.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, both you and Baszle decided to go ahead and use it in World 5. What was the thinking there? It looked like the fortress was right there. Did you just want to see?
We were testing, yeah. I was just testing it to see if it was a hammer seed. Okay. Just for the knowledge. And it skipped enough stuff. Plus I want to say there was, if I recall correctly, there was another fort on the Earth side.
Yeah, I think there was in this seed. do believe there was one on the bottom side of that.
That was another factor. That was another factor, is when I saw there were 3 forts in this world, I just didn't feel like trying to find the magic fort. And I did feel a little bit nervous towards World 8. Because in World 7, you might have noticed that I went around the long way instead of trying to look for the correct fort. And I felt that may have been slightly longer than actually playing the fort, even if I was wrong. And that made me a little bit nervous, and then in World 8, I was very nervous when I saw that it was a zero bridge because I played that extra fort. It wasn't that long, but still, it was just... I can't get away with stuff like that in the future, but as long as my execution can match what I did today, because between the 2 races, I only had 2 deaths, 2 unintentional deaths, and both of them were really quick.
And so, we actually were kind of discussing here how you might have thought you were compared to Baszle as the race was going on, where you thought you might have been based on if maybe some of your decision-making was kind of lending us an idea of where you thought you were.
The first race, I thought I was ahead wire to wire.
Okay.
The second race, I felt like I got a little bit behind. I was a little bit behind early, especially since I made a bit of a misroute in the first world. I played at least 1, if not 2 extra stages, both of which were fairly quick, but I felt I was a little bit behind the 8 ball in the second race, and I felt my execution made that up, especially when Baszle said that he had 4 or 5 deaths in his first race. I felt I was playing catch-up for the first half, and then by the time I got to about World 6, I felt like I was either at parity or ahead. But there was also a possibility that Baszle also had a lot of difficulty with the first world, because that first world was rough.
And that actually is exactly what did happen. Unfortunately, Baszle, it took him a few tries to get through 7-1, including 2 of them where he was almost completed with it. And then he ended up taking a Geo in the next stage in 6-6, so he had to replay them. And quite frankly, I think that accounts for the vast majority of the time difference that we see here, is because you were making your way out of World 1 as he was just really getting through 6-6 for the second time.
Oh, speaking of 7-1, did you know that extra life was there?
No. Which one? Which one is it? Where is it? Oh, is it the one that's in that giant block where there's all the coins there?
No. When I played 7-1, you might have noticed that after going up the second pipe, I jumped around those 3 blocks and picked up a 1-up. A lot of people don't know that's there.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've actually played 7-1. I'm sure if I went back in my old map book that I had as a kid, I probably would be like, oh yeah, I do that thing.
There are 3 hidden 1-ups in 7-1.
I think, is there one maybe all the way at the top? I think if you do like a super jump off, if you're able to get it off a Koopa shell, you can get it.
Yes, the third one is, do you know where the power-up is in 7-1?
Yeah, it's on top of the, where you got the Koopa sitting in between the 2 question blocks, goes back and forth.
Yes, there's two coin blocks above that power-up, and then to the right of that, there's an extra life. A lot of people don't know that's there either.
Well, hidden one. Yeah, so that could be something for runners to think of and remember. Of course, we do have, in the resources on our Discord, we do have all the game maps listed, and I believe they are accurate. I just haven't gone back and studied them.
Yeah, I believe so. And some of the stuff that you seldom see. When I got into 6-1, I was really tempted to fly up into the bonus room, because that's only a few seconds, and not a lot of people know that exists.
Yeah, and a lot of these secrets that are, like the 1 in 5 run, where you grab an extra item if you have a tail. These are things that people will just, the nature of speedrunning. If you're watching just somebody who just natively speedruns the vanilla game, it's almost never going to be to your advantage to go and collect it. It's not like the skip that you get in 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers, the original. So you just have to, you're just trying to run through the levels, and so if that bonus just doesn't happen to coincide with any appreciable skip, you're never going to see it.
Oh no, and the item at the top of 5-1 is not even useful in vanilla, it's just a music box.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe a little handy if you're just goofing off like I play it, but...
I will say this, though. The 3-7 bonus item, that's a cloud, and that is actually useful in the all switches category.
Okay. Well, good to know, and thank you for sharing your knowledge.
It doesn't save a lot of time, because it takes a while to get it due to the auto-scroll, but it does save a few seconds.
Right, and that was something else. So you did go and collect it in this second match, didn't you?
Yes, if I see that level and I have a tail, I will always get that item.
Okay. Well...
Hey Fred, can you do me a favor and remove the auto-scrolling on the coin heavens for this specific reason, please? I have been nagging him to do this ever since auto-scroll was removed from stages. In like 1.1, I think. I've been bugging him to remove auto-scrolling from coin heavens for this exact reason. And he has not done it.
Well, maybe he's listening, and maybe he will this time. The other one that we've been begging for him to do is to remove or add in music to the title screen so that when we're doing setup, we can do audio checks.
Yes, please. That would be nice as well. That and removing the title screen loop, because that has caused problems in races before.
Oh, where somebody gets something set up and they can't time up real quick?
No, it's when it when the attract roll resets when you're sitting on the title screen.
Yeah.
Because if that goes off during your countdown, that can cause issues.
Oh, okay, I see.
But overall, I felt like I played both seeds extraordinarily well. The first one was super quick, and then the second one was... I'm really surprised I got through that 6-6 without dying, because... Oh man, that mushroom saved me.
Oh, yeah. You played that one, I mean, it was a clinic that you were doing in that. Now we do see Baszle now. Has entered Bowser's Castle, and he'll be coming in to fight in about a minute and change. Equip the hammer suit and equip the star to go in. So it'll just be very shortly he'll be up there. So I was wondering, have you been practicing some of the clips in Bowser's Castle at all?
Not really.
Okay. And we were, as I watch the races, I kind of wonder if different runners have got the clips or mastered them, or if they even practice them at all, or if they're like, you know what, I'm just going to go and play through the top or the bottom route and do what I want to do.
The only one I go for is the one at the top of the elevator, because that doesn't cost any time to go for.
Right, okay, yep, that's definitely an easy one.
Because the rest of them, if you get them, it's good, but those actually cost you time instead of just running through the door.
Right, absolutely correct. And now we do have Baszle finishing. Official time, 53 minutes and 30 seconds. And we've gone ahead and sent him the link to see if he wants to join us. We'll find out in a moment or two.
Baszle, I'll wait for him to jump in. But I see his comment in chat. It's, yeah. I concur.
Yeah, so I think Growlf and I have gone and decided that we both want to call your next match, and I think everybody else has also decided that I'm going to be the one rolling seeds.
Yeah, your rolling actually hasn't been too terrible. I mean, that second one was bad, but the first one was nice. I am
Well-
not allowed to touch the bot for just about any randomizer.
Well, Growlwolf was actually the one to roll these last two games, so I didn't touch it at all.
Yeah, the first one wasn't bad. The second one had to be fun for chat to watch though. 'Cause that was miserable.
Oh, I think everybody loved it. It was one of those wonderful things. And I hear the chime, and welcome to the commentary booth, Basil. GG.
GG. Good job, RaikouRider.
Thanks. And thank you for pronouncing my name properly too. Somebody plays second gen Pokemon.
Yes, I do. I love Raikou. He's a great Pokemon. But anyway,
Awesome.
yeah, that second seed was horrendous.
I saw your comment in chat, and I 100% concur. That seed was horrible. I am very surprised I only got away with dying once in that seed, and it was a really quick death. Boss Bass got a meal. Other than that, I think I had 2 intentional deaths. One, I saw 8-1, and my thought was just, I am not dealing with this. I have 2 P-Wings. I am using one on this level. Goodbye. No thank you. I hate 8-1.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I actually didn't see that level at all. Maybe I clouded past it or found a different way.
Oh, I forgot to use my cloud too, I think.
I think you went
I think I
into
used all my
Bowser's Castle
cloud.
with a second or with a cloud in the first seed also.
Yeah, I had an unused cloud both races. I just couldn't. The first one I legitimately forgot about. I should have clouded over what wound up being 7-4, which of course would have saved a boatload of time. And then 2, I just forgot I picked up the cloud and I just never thought about using it at all.
Oh.
Pay attention
Yeah,
to your inventory, it helps.
Yeah, no kidding. I used my hammers and clouds, but I had so many music boxes, and I was like, why? Why am I fighting all these Hammer Brothers? I have music boxes. I can just go right past them. What am I doing? That was my thoughts, when I was about halfway done with that second seed. And I had, 3 unused music, but I had, 5 or 6 items at least left over. And then I was like, what am I doing? My item management is bad. My execution is bad. My routing was bad. But I have one question for you, Raikou. Please tell me you used that hammer in World 3 in that second seed to just break that lock immediately and go forward, because that's definitely what I should have done.
I did not. I ended up using that hammer in, I think, the next world, I want to say.
Okay, that's actually what I did too.
No, I turned around, and then I actually went backwards through World 3 and wound up playing 2 extra stages to get to the fort, and I felt miserable. I felt unless you had a really tough time with 7-1 and 6-6, that at that point I was in catch-up mode. The first seed I felt I was ahead wire to wire.
Well, basically what you said about 7-1 and 6-6 is what happened, because I was like, oh, he's probably a couple worlds ahead of me at least at this point. I always play these races like I'm playing in catch-up mode. That's just kind of the mentality I've kind of grown to have in these races. But some of them are closer than I think they are.
So those of you familiar with Z1R, I got a funny comment from Leslie Pro 04, our #1 seed in the Challenge Cup, over Discord. I honestly thought Panzer Dave blessed the second seed with how bad that was. So any of you familiar with Zelda 1 Randomizer might know who Panzer Dave is. He is notorious for dealing some of the most horrendous Zelda 1 seeds you will ever see.
I think he did bless this one. If he didn't, I'm sure he would approve it.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. I felt so much more comfortable and relaxed that first race too. I feel like I played pretty well that first race, other than just a few mistakes here and there. But I mean, yeah, that first seed was fine, but that second seed was a nightmare.
Well, the consensus in the booth, and I believe the consensus in the chat as well, is that you pretty much, both of you, really took that first seed to task and did a great job with it. And I think it also shows, and anybody in chat would agree, that with you two being the way y'all played, and that representing the folks that weren't even able to make it to the main tournament, it shows that the community is very strong, and it has a lot to show for itself. People have been doing great here, and it's awesome to be a part of it, even in my small role of it. And I think you guys ought to both give yourselves a pat on the back for what y'all have been able to do. It's been it's a strong group. It's a healthy group as well. People genuinely reaching out to help each other and share the love of the game and share the friendship and everything else that comes with it. So my hat's off to you, and congratulations on what y'all are part of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Challenge Cup is pretty crazy. This is pretty crazy this time. It looks like my next match will be against the winner of Dave Lindo and Craig SMB3, and I'm honestly frightened to play Dave Lindo. It's going to be a coin flip.
Well, that makes for good matches, though. So I would say do your practice and play like you play. You do you. And I think it'll be a great match. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
That's the plan. It's a coin flip, or maybe it's no more than 60-40 in my favor, I'll tell you that.
Well, you've demonstrated some great skills the last couple of matches I've seen you run, and these two that I saw you actually got the commentary for you, so it's great to be part of it. And Baszle, even though you're not able to advance in this tournament, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you play in any of our weeklies and friendlies that we have coming up as time goes on. Thanks for being part of it, and congratulations on...
Oh, no problem. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because it was a lot of fun watching it as well.
Oh yeah, this randomizer is a ton of fun. I think that this is the premier platforming randomizer. Just period.
I think you may be
honestly can't think of any other ones.
SMB1 has a level generator, but I don't think there's enough level geometry for it to have a ton of replay value, but it's still a lot of fun to play. Once more varied level geometry is added, that's going to be a piece of work.
I think I saw one of the admins posting something about that a few weeks ago.
It's called Level-Headed.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I have to practice for that because I'm going to be showcasing that at a marathon tomorrow.
Oh, well, congratulations and good luck. So I'm going to put this into the chat, guys. Go and you see the runners things, or somebody put the runners links into the chat. And of course, give our runners a follow and take a look at the Discord links and any of the other stuff. Hey, thank you there, Growlwolf. Follow our runners, and if you're interested, please join the community. One of the best things about this whole community is it's all done by you guys. Everybody that's participating and watching it, that's what we get. There's no major commercial support, so it's just us. So be part of it and have fun with it.
All right, thanks for covering the race. I am going to play either Mario 1 Rando or Zelda 1 Rando after this, one of the two. But thanks for having me. Have a good one.
All right. Congratulations, RaikouRider, on your win, and we'll see you the next time. Baszle, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
All I want to say is just I thank SpeedGaming for hosting this and the commentary and everything, and good job to Raikou for well-played races. And thank you to the commentators for commentating, of course.
Indeed, it's been fun. So thank you for being part of it, and we'll see you around the next time. My partner, Growlwolf, are you still here?
Oh, we're here. I'm just enjoying the commentary from the runners. It's always so exciting to hear what the runners are doing, what's going through their minds, and things like that. What a pleasure to be a part of this race. And I have to reiterate on what both Raikou said as well as Baszle. Thank you, especially to the chat as well. We talk about the community, what we do here, blah, 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 whatever. You guys make this happen as well. And we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be sponsored by SpeedGaming or even putting on a tournament like this if it wasn't for you, the viewers. So, maybe you're a longtime lover of the game, or you just like randomizers, or you're just looking for something different, whatever the case may be. thank you for being here with us tonight. There's a lot of places you could be, but you weren't. You were here with us, so thank you. We really do appreciate it.
All right, so if you do want to stick around or look for any other speed gaming content, that we do have the other speed gaming channels. We'll be switching over probably to one of the link to the past randomizer tournaments in just a minute as soon as we say goodbye here. And of course, you can always go to speedgaming.org, click on the schedule link, and see what else is going on. And that's all I have to say. So this is Diesel Pilot. Be safe, be kind, and I'll see you guys on the next pipe check.
And on behalf of the entire SMB3 randomizer community, RaikouRider, Baszle, this is Growlwolf signing off, saying keep randomizing, keep racing, take it easy.